buddies, it's your guy, AyChristene, and today we are checking out the Krampus. It's the Grimm Archives. This is by Fredrick Knudsen. I'm interested. I'm not scared because I saw the Krampus movie, which was pretty freaky. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. It's very creepy, very freaky. And then especially after what we saw with the overly sarcastic things, I'm very interested to see the lore that's tied in with the Krampus, you know? So I'm excited, actually. I'm kind of excited to see this. Before we get into the video, don't forget that January 19th, 2019 at 7 p.m., I will be doing a panel with my YouTube friends, Hey Charlie, Poise, Corey X Kenshin, and it'll be at PAX South. So definitely in San Antonio, Texas. So check. Mark 1, 2. Okay. Check out the link in the description box below to get your tickets. Let me know when you get your tickets. I'm really excited. We are so excited to meet you guys and talk to you guys and all sorts of stuff. And down below is the link for this video. Yeah, let's get started. It was posted on its own channel. Okay, only mine edits have been made. Certain elements of the series were changed after the first episode of such a vocal delivery. Okay, we don't care about that. Alright, so we've got... Oh, this is like a library.
The Krampus.
Okay.
Spring-Heeled Jack. Baba Yaga.
Oh,
the archives are privy to many legends, some more obscure than others. But more importantly, it knows their origins.
I was gonna say, I was like, this voice is like super dramatic. And then you see this guy's face, it's like this. More importantly. You know, it's like very intense. And who's this guy? Who is you?
Welcome to the archives. You may call me Fredrick, and
him.
my assistant over there is Benjamin.
Okay, Benjamin.
At least, I think he's my assistant. That wasn't made clear.
What?
In any case, our first examination will be on the Krampus. He has found a curious niche in recent years. His visage is undeniably devilish, with broad, curled horns, powerful hooves, and a toothy grimace. Though he is striking to behold, the most curious element of Krampus is not his appearance, but his association with Christmas. He is the tenebrous counterpart to the jolly Saint Nicholas, poised to punish nasty little children. Sources contradict one another about his origins, his practices, and even his appearance. So who is he?
Yeah,
what is he? And what precisely does he want?
Exactly. That's the thing. Is it that... Why does he come after kids? Is it because they're bad or because they don't believe in Christmas? Which one? Or they don't believe in Santa or whatever.
The first and perhaps most important thing to note about Krampus is that he's not a single figure, but rather a species of mystical beast that roams in packs to cause their violent mischief.
Okay.
Chief among their activities is the collection of boys and girls on St. Nicholas's naughty list.
Tongue out.
To aid this practice, they carry large woven baskets or sacks on their backs, which they fill to the brim with children to whisk away into the night. Christmas plays from the 1800s give the Krampus a chance to deliver their manifesto to Santa Claus, which Al Ridner translated in his book, The Krampus and the Old Dark Christmas.
Oh, that sounds very creepy.
Good children, though, are not my task. Only for the bad I'm asked. For those my sack is neatly suited, their vexing screams and whining muted. Off I pack them to their fates, the spoiled little reprobates. With brats as these, one choice is fit, to toss them in the fiery pit.
Whoa. What'd you clap it for, bruh?
Thank you, Benjamin. Though they're...
Okay, so they are like, instead of a lump of coal, you know, for being bad or being on the naughty list, instead you get whisked away and thrown... Oh, excuse me. Instead, you get whisked away and thrown into a fiery pit. Wow. Wow. Yikes. I knew that they took children, but I thought they ate them. So I mean, if you had to choose between being thrown into a fiery pit or being eaten, what would you choose? That's like a legit serious question. Like, what would you choose? The fiery pit, at least you'd burn very quickly, whereas eaten, you're going to be alive for most of that. You're not going to die quickly if they're eating you. That's...
Her work is horrendous. It is confined to only 2 nights of the year, December 5th and 6th.
Really?
Beyond this, however, there are very few concrete facts.
Okay.
Illustrations are inconsistent. Sometimes they are depicted with 1 hoof and 1 massive foot.
Yeah, that's
and sometimes
weird.
They eat children instead of throwing them
see?
into hell.
See?
There are no stories or tales of how
That's
he
what I
came
heard.
to be Santa's most brutal helper, nor are there any
Goodness.
ancient legends of people hunted by him. He seems simply to exist.
Crazy. Super creepy. Especially with the horn
Despite their
and
lack
foot.
of background, the Krampus does have a definite place of origin in the high mountains and low valleys of Austria and southern Germany. In small towns and villages, far from the cities, the country folk retain a cultural memory for the Krampus, especially in the form of a unique practice known as the Krampuslauf, or Krampus Run. For these runs, small
like
troops of men, known as Krampus Pass, will don heavy coats made of sheep and goat hide, as well as special horrifying masks whose look is dictated, in part, by tradition. These Krampuses are often accompanied by a Saint Nicholas, who leads the troop on winding routes through the town, where they prance in high gates to clatter the massive iron bells strapped to their backs.
Okay, so do you see the chains and stuff? This goes into, I remember the artwork that Overly Sarcastic had in her video. You had somebody who had chains to a beast, and I guess they were Krampuses. I thought it was just one Krampus, and that was just one being, and he, did X, Y, Z. I didn't know it was a they, I didn't know it was a multiple, a pronoun for multiple beings. I didn't know that. That's pretty... crazy. That's pretty crazy.
Roving packs do exactly depends on the town. Some will simply roam the streets, slapping people on the legs and hips with their switches and throwing them into the snow, while others will make house visits to families, delivering toys and sweets.
Really?
In limited settings, costumed Krampuses will even wrestle with those of other troops, with their saints acting as referees who call back their Krampuses when they are too exhausted to continue.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Despite the horrifying costumes, the Krampus runs are a time of good cheer,
though
many
like
children will still rightly cower when the Krampuses come around. In
I
some
wouldn't
households,
cower.
golden
Don't touch me,
branches
sir.
are displayed as mementos for children. Remember to be good, for the Krampus will be around again soon enough.
Dear.
Fortunately, we have good allies in our hunt for a progenitor, the brothers Grimm, specifically the younger, Jacob. In his book Teutonic Mythology, he makes a very brief reference to the Krampus, linking them to a mythological Austrian figure named Perchta. His assertion that she was a goddess, however, is not entirely accurate. Perchta is a terrifying creature in her own right, and subject to the same air of mystery and subjectivity as the Krampus. She is both young and old, beautiful and ugly, symmetric and asymmetric, and she fulfilled the duty of punishing those who broke holiday taboos. With her wicked wooden scissors, she would cut open the bellies of men and women, pulling out their organs and restuffing the bodies with wood shavings, soil, and waste before sewing them back up, making them into horrific dolls.
Oh my gosh.
As the isolated Austrian villages were Christianized, however, Perchta found herself associated with one Christian holiday in particular, the Feast of the Epiphany on January 6th, celebrating the discovery of the Christ child by the 3 Magi. But Perchta did not move alone. With her traveled an entourage of ghosts called the Perchten. Much like Perchta herself, the Perchten ghosts were eventually given a Christian bent and were said to be the spirits of those deserving neither heaven nor hell.
Like purgatory?
Eventually, these ghosts were reinterpreted to be given physical form and earned the title of being magical spirits themselves, which were separated into 2 categories, the beautiful Perchten and the ugly Perchten. As time passed, the townsfolk of villages began performing Perchtenlauf, or Perchten runs, during the month of December, dressed as the ugly variant. It seems likely that this was adapted from other pagan practices, where people would dress up in the skins of animals, wear their heads, and visit houses to scare off evil spirits.
Wear their heads? So this equals when she would say the role reversal thing, this probably is like the dressing up thing, is what she meant. And so this is like better clarifying the stuff that she had said. Like because she touched a lot of things. This is only on one specified thing, but in that it does show how other traditions from other countries kind of share that same, some of the same things.
Though most people know October to be the haunted month, this was not always the case. For Austria, before the groping hands of the church found its way there, it was December when the power of dark, menacing creatures was believed to be its highest, and their variety was just as great. No one would dare to even speak the word wolf during this time for fear of summoning a werewolf. Practices like the Perchtenlauf were a way of controlling and warding off these wintry spirits to make way for spring. These runs were rowdy events, and their participants often engaged in remarkably un-Christian activities.
This is creepy.
And so, the church began making an effort to control these runs. However, the isolated villages were none too fond of the church, and the church had few means to impose their will. Despite this, little by little, many villages began to include St. Nicholas's to appease and humor the church's representatives.
That's where it was.
Though it may seem odd today to attach such a jolly character to creatures as terrifying as the ugly Perchten, it would likely not have been so strange then. One of the miracles associated with St. Nicholas is the resurrection of 3 orphans out of a barrel of their own hacked-up flesh, which was to be sold on the market the next day.
Wait, what?
These saintly overseers, however, would often be abandoned by their parties in the middle of a run, and when this stopgap failed, the church banned the practice outright.
Oh, wow. Hold on, though. So they would be resurrected in their own hacked up... What? Okay, you want to explain why they were hacked up? What happened and what? What? Oh my gosh.
However, this would not stop the villages. Not entirely, anyway.
I bet not.
They posited,
that face is
what if there was a creature, something that looked exactly like the Perchten, but was instead the servant of St. Nicholas? One that engaged in similar behaviors,
they
but
just
to
like
the church's
changed the lore
ends. And what if we gave the Perchten a new name? Something like, perhaps, Krampus? In practice, this change was probably more gradual, but the church seemed to accept the tamer Krampuslauf. Over the years, different towns would develop their own traditions, ones that continue
Swedish,
even today.
Carpenter?
But the image of the Krampus would eventually see a radical change. In the 1800s, hearing of the wild Krampus runs out in the unfashionable villages, some designers from the city decided to make strange Krampus holiday greeting cards, often in poor taste. The problem was that none of these artists had ever seen anyone dressed in Krampus regalia, and so they took heavy liberties, drawing them more like devils and demons than the Perchten on which they were based. Most other city folk had never seen the Krampus either, and so their vision of him reflected
He's
the
having a good night,
cards.
apparently.
This modernization of Krampus continues into the present day, with enthusiasts making even more horrific masks and outfits to increase his shock value.
That's kind of cool, though.
More friendly versions fit for the malls and cities of Germany and beyond. The tamer version even has a name, Cuddle Krampus. But in the little isolated towns of Austria, the various Krampuspass continue their traditions.
Oh, really?
This dark, subservient cousin of Santa Claus is one of the final echoes of the haunted December season.
Dancing?
An echo that grows louder by the year. Even groups labeling themselves Perchten have been revived, marching alongside the Krampus, indistinguishably increasing their numbers. Where the Krampus will run next is uncertain, but wherever they go, their mark is unmistakable.
Wow. I'm liking the dancing thing. I'm intrigued to see more of, like, the, to see that tradition, over there. I mean, I'm going to participate, but if I were in some type of anthropological documentary, like TV show, and I was in some country and just looking at different Christmas traditions. This is a great show idea. Don't steal it, okay? I just had it. It's marked here, so no one steal my idea. But it would be cool to go to Austria and go to the little towns and see this tradition in the daytime come to pass. Because I ain't going to be I don't want no creepy old lady telling me a story about when she was younger and what Krampus did to her family. I don't want none of that. Not at all. Because I won't be back. Especially at night. You ain't going to tell me the story at night. You can tell me the story in the daytime with everybody. And I'm just going to keep praying. Cancel that in the name of Jesus. Cancel that in the name of Jesus. Cancel that in the name of Jesus. Plus, I try to be good. You know, I try to make sure I do good things. And I'm a good person so that these bad things don't happen to me. Yeah, I think I've been good. I think I've been good this year. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you think of the whole Krampus lore and tradition and everything? Let me know your thoughts. If you like that video, check out the link in the description box below to support Fredrick Knudsen there. If you like this video, hug the life out of that like button. I love you guys as always. And until next time, buddies. Toodles.